So I broke my wrist about 3 weeks ago, rollerblading. This is the second wrist fracture for me and the second surgery. So about 6 years ago, I broke my scaphoid mountain biking. And when that happened, I wasn't able to use my thumb, which was pretty scary. But anyways, I had surgery, and within like 6 to 8 weeks, I had got the cast off and began to just do hand strengthening exercises. And it took me about a year before I could actually do a push-up again because it was very, very painful. Um, but anyways, 3 weeks ago, I broke my wrist again, and this time I was rollerblading, and I had my wrist guards, I had my knee pads, and I fall all the time rollerblading, but it was a bad fall and ended up dislocating part of my wrist and then fracturing it in about 6 different places. It's very, very painful. So when I went to ER, the very first thing they had to do was reset my wrist, which is very, very painful. And then I had to go see an orthopedist uh, the following day, and they scheduled me for surgery. So within about a week after my injury, I had my surgery, and they ended up putting in a plate and about 12, at least 12 other screws. So I have actually the x-ray that I can show you. So here's my wrist. Now you can see the original screw right here is my scaphoid, the original break that I had. So that actually stayed in place. There was no other damage to that area. It hurt a lot. It like kind of hurt a ton because I was re-injuring the same wrist. So there was a lot more pain in this second break, but that remained intact. The break that I had was on it's called the distal radius bone, I think, and it's a very common fracture. And they had to put in about, I think, 12 or 13 screws. I'm not quite sure, but you can kind of see that's the plate. Those are the screws. And then I have also like another x-ray of like the side view, which looks kind of crazy, right? So you can kind of see the screws that they put in. So that happened about, the surgery happened about 12 days ago. And before I went in, the anesthesiologist put a nerve block in my, right around here, which is like right by my collarbone. And it didn't hurt at all. Didn't want to look at the needle, but anyways, they did this nerve block, which basically they put like a needle down into the nerve, and they basically made my entire, from my shoulder down to my fingertips, completely numb. So I couldn't feel a thing, which was a very weird experience because my arm felt like kind of like dead weight. So as I had the surgery, when I came out of surgery, I couldn't feel a thing, which is probably for the better because it was, obviously a lot of work was done. So right after surgery, I couldn't feel anything. My entire hand was really swollen, and you can kind of see that it's still, even like 12 days after surgery, my fingers are pretty swollen compared to these ones. And I should also mention that I couldn't really move my fingers after this second break, which is kind of scary. Like I could barely move them. Like it was pretty much doing this is all I could really do. But after surgery, the doctor's like, you really need to get your fingers moving, and mechanically they should be working, but there's so much inflammation, so much swelling, and from the damage from the break, you have to get those fingers moving. So I was pretty much doing this, just kind of forcing my hand to move. It was very painful, but they're like, the more you can get the blood flowing and pumping that inflammation back, the better off you're going to be. So I was pretty much like after surgery, just constantly doing this, just kind of moving my fingers as much as possible, moving my thumb, and just pretty much every hour, just kind of doing this as much as possible to kind of get some movement back. And so you can see that it's still very, very swollen. And in the very beginning, my fingers were shaking when I would try to move them. It was like this, I was like, oh. and it just hurt so bad. I took pain medicine for the first 2 days. I couldn't really sleep at all for the first 2 days. It was excruciating pain. I say on a scale of 1 to 10, at nighttime it would be like an 8, and I just couldn't sleep. I couldn't get comfortable. I had this big like foam pillow that they gave me because when you sleep at night, with at least with my injury, I had to keep it elevated like this. So I couldn't really get comfortable, but you can kind of see my fingers are just, they're still swollen. But in the very beginning, this is what my hand looked like, and it was just more black and blue, and my fingers are even thicker. They were more swollen, but I was like, it was basically like this, trying to move it, and so I had to force with this hand, just kind of slowly bring it up, bring it down, try to get some movement. And within about a day, I was able to like finally get down to here, like actually close my hand entirely. And so I was really, really happy to be able to get this progress, thanks to the great surgery. So pretty much I could do that. The really hard thing was actually doing this, like getting flat. Like that was extremely painful. And so again, I was like forcing my hand up, and I was like, oh, I could only do like this much. And I just kept doing this over and over again. And I was trying to do like different exercises. Like I put a pencil in between my fingers. I was trying to force them up. And you can kind of see they're still kind of shaky. But now, about 12 days after surgery, I can do this. You can kind of see it's not completely level, or 90 degrees, but I can do that. My pinky works the best. My ring finger next. Middle finger works good now. Index finger doesn't quite go all the way down. I've been working on it really, really hard. It kind of gets down to here, but it's kind of, I don't know if you can kind of see, that's about as far as I can take it. And once I get this part, this cast removed, I'm kind of curious, like, will I be able to get it all the way down to my palm? I don't know. But right now it's like about, there's a little bit of a gap, so I probably can't touch my palm at this point. My thumb, I can move left to right, but I can't bend it. Like it's a really weird feeling. Like I can't bend it at all. I can't do this. All I can do is left and right. And I was trying to do like some random things to try to get some movement. So I was trying to play Fortnite with the Nintendo Switch just to get like, see if I can get my thumb moving. And it's really uncomfortable. Like I can't really, the doctor really wants me to get my fingers all moving. So I thought like playing Nintendo Switch, like forcing my thumb to move and press buttons would be a good activity, which I'm sure that it is. It hurts, but I still can't get it to flex. So when I go see my doctor, I'll be talking to him about that. On Tuesday, I'm going in to get stitches removed, because at that point it'll be 2 weeks since the surgery. So stitches will be removed. I have stitches that go from my wrist down to about the middle of my forearm is about where the stitches go, because they had to put all those screws in that plate. So that comes out on Tuesday, and then I've asked for kind of a removable cast because I'm really anxious and eager to get back into the gym. I really want to get back to stationary bike, treadmill. I want to start getting back into my workouts. I'm very active. I usually would bike every single day. So after this injury, what has been really, really hard is that I've been in so much pain. Not only the break, but I had from the injury back spasms, muscle aches, bruising on my side. I was just a complete wreck 2 weeks ago. Because when you break a wrist, oftentimes you're also hurting something else. And when I was rollerblading and I came down this, I was at a skate park and I was coming down this 8-foot half pipe, and I'd done it tons of times, no big deal. And when I do fall, I just kind of slide out. But anyways, it was a bad fall. Never doing that again. But I ended up like, throwing up my back at the same time and bruising myself, injuring myself. And so on top of the pain from my arm, My whole body was aching, which is the reason why I also couldn't sleep. But anyway, so I'm anxious to get back into the gym and start doing some stationary bike and start exercising again. I like a lot of cardio exercises, so I'm looking forward to doing that this week after my stitches come out. The doctor was like, no exercise at all while you're healing from the surgery. Like until stitches come out, I'm not allowed to exercise, and the reason being is he doesn't want me sweating under the cast, which can cause infection. And he said if you get infection, that can go straight to your bone. And he said I could lose my hand, the worst case scenario. So I was like, okay, I'm definitely not doing any exercise. I'm just gonna just focus on moving my hand. These are the only exercises I'm doing right now. It's just hand exercises. And so that's where I'm at right now. Again, I can't move my thumb really. I'll do an updated video soon, and they are still swollen, and it does hurt and does shake a little bit when I come up. You can kind of see the shaking that's happening right there. So that's what my hand looks like. That's about the functionality. I mean, thankfully, once I get like a smaller cast, I'll be able to type. Because right now I'm doing everything with my left hand, and I'm pretty clumsy with my left hand. I don't have good dexterity, so it's been a learning process for me to use the mouse on the left side and then type with my left hand. I'm getting faster, but it's definitely not like having obviously two hands. And my right hand is too awkward to hold up a heavy cast to type. It doesn't really work like that. So I'm just looking forward to getting the smaller cast and hopefully be able to figure out a way to type again, because these fingers do work. But I'll definitely have to continue to do exercises to stretch them out so that they're getting stronger and not so shaky like that. They just kind of shake like that. Other things I've been doing for exercising my hand is I've using a tennis ball. And I remember right after surgery, it was like just to hold a tennis ball was like a huge deal for me. Like, oh my gosh, I can actually hold a tennis ball. Like, and not even really holding it, it's just like gravity, right? I was like, oh my gosh, I can actually hold it. And then my next thing was, can I actually spin the ball in my hand? So I was like, can I do this? And so I began to just it took me 2 days or so to kind of do this, and I was like, oh, I can finally kind of slowly move it, which was a really big deal for me to be able to move the ball in that way. And then after a couple of days, I'll be able to do a little bit faster. And now I can do this, and so I do this for practice, just to kind of keep my hands and fingers moving, doing this. Again, my thumb's not much help right now. It's more just like a lever, like can go left and right, but I can't really bend it. So that's where we're at. I'll do another video. Maybe I'll do a video like every month or so to kind of show you, I guess, progress, because it might take another year before I can actually get full functionality again to do push-ups, because like I said, the last wrist surgery took me about a year before I could do like my push-ups and my pull-ups. It took a while because it was so painful, but I worked at it all the time. And same thing, I'll be working at this all the time. So I'll keep you updated on exercises I'll be doing. I'll meet with the doctor on Tuesday, which is 3 days, and I'll keep you updated. So thanks so much for listening.